It's now time for Monster Soup with your really fun at parties host, Dave Spencer, and his level-headed co-host, Brian McKinney. These dudes will explore all the crazy mysteries roaming off forest and deserted hallways. After all, monsters are real. It's Monster Soup time right now. Get it while it's hot. Now your hosts, Dave and Brian.
Ooh, so spicy. Welcome to Monster Soup, a kitchen of conversation of misfits, cryptids, and these kids. I'm David Spencer, your Golden Retriever host, and with me is, they call him in the sheets, the Bragging Bambino, but we like to call him Brian McKinney. What's up, buddy?
Good afternoon. How's it going?
Hello. Okay, so.
You hear me?
We have, yeah, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, okay. So you cut out for a second. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, you're
Sound
very
great.
fuzzy. It might be on your end. A little delay, so expect that, I guess. Off to a good start. Yeah, so today we're it's the week of our Bigfoot thing. So we did a little pre-record
Bigfoot conference, yeah.
If you're joining us on Friday for our live show, we apologize that we're not there, but just know it right now we're drinking probably a delicious cocktail. I think it's probably raining right now outside of the Bigfoot conference, but hopefully we're surrounded by just the best people telling stories. So, but with all that, I'd like to introduce my neighbor, actually, Rick, who I love and adore. So I'm going to bring to the stage Mr. Rick. What's going on, buddy?
Not much.
Old Fireman.
What's up, Rick? How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Yeah, so we're just gonna have a free-form conversation, maybe some near-death experiences for you, just kind of jamming this week, like a sweatpants special, if you will, spooky sweatpants special, to kind of do a little filler, and yeah, it'll be fun. So Rick, I always like talking to you. Like I said, he's my neighbor, so he literally is across the street from me. Our daughters play together all the time. Your daughter actually showed up last night with the other neighbors' daughters as well, so my house was an absolute madhouse. Just like, and they set up like the gymnastics mat downstairs, so and I'm in the basement, and they hear like, whoa, wham. I'm just like, this is nice.
They like to rotate from house to house once in a while.
Yeah, it's exactly how it all goes down. But yeah.
Hey, Rick, I see you're sporting the Bowling Green shirt there. Have you moved your daughter home yet?
Violet just came home today. We just came home today. I went up and picked her up this morning. Yeah. Both of our daughters are freshmen or just finishing up their freshman year at Bowling Green. Yeah, that was move out day and make sure all the classes are set up and the apartment's set up for next year and everything else.
Wait, is school done?
For
college,
my
daughter. Yeah, they're done. She has an exam.
Taking her last final upstairs.
Her final is tomorrow. So my daughter had to take hers in person. But the best part about it for me was because we're going to the Ohio Bigfoot conference tomorrow. My wife just left to go up. I get out of moving day, so I don't have to participate. So
no tech mule duty.
So the girls they'll be on their own. So, but we were up there 2 weeks ago. We brought a bunch of stuff home to kind of lighten the load. But yeah, I got out of moving.
We did that last weekend.
Realize it was the same weekend. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it was.
That's cool.
Telling my daughter this is a lot of stuff, and she goes, "Dad, I've been in this dorm room for a year." And I said, Violet, when I moved out of my house a year later, I could fit everything I owned into a duffel bag.
That's like that's like the difference between like a guy moving and a girl moving.
Boy and a girl.
Yeah.
All I got is my toothbrush and this stick.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the stick from? It's just a nice stick I found. Oh man. So actually I want to lead it. I think that we have talked about this before. I'm doing all this on a whim, so if you don't have an answer for it, there's no harm, no foul. Do you have any near-death experiences that you could maybe spout about?
I had one where I went through a floor in a house. I'm the guy when the new guys come on and they'll tell the new guys, if everything hits the fan, you better be standing next to Rick. but that probably won't be close enough. You're probably going to die. So you need to be wearing his bunker gear with him. And none of them believe it. And then it happens. And then they're like, oh my God, you weren't kidding. So the one that comes off the top of the head is we were working a house fire, and we had it knocked down, and I was in there checking for hot spots, and I had to go down to the basement to make sure that wasn't burning. So I have a 2-man crew. My first guy sounded the steps, which you pound on the steps to make sure they're sturdy. Okay, they're good. So the second one says, hold on, LT. And she pounds on the steps, and okay, it's good. I said, okay. And I stepped on the steps, and I went right through to the basement. Everything's burning around me. You know, it was, but the weird thing is I did catch myself so that I didn't like get majorly hurt. I had some pretty bad bruising and aching pains, but in that nth of a second when you're standing there and all of a sudden there's no floor, it's like the cartoons where they're standing there and they run out and the floor is gone, and then they stand there for a second, then they go down. Only it's about that much of a second when that happens, but it seems like it's an hour and a half in your mind. You know, everything slows down, and I'm going, everything's just flashing before my eyes. They say your whole life flashes, but it does. And I mean, I was picturing, you know, what's my then, what was it, 7-year-old gonna look like on her wedding day, and and then I hit the floor, and I hit the floor, and I sit up, and I'm trying to call a mayday, and my radio's broken, and looking around, and the guys up above can't reach me, and so I told him get a ladder, and that's taking too long, so I just said the heck with it, get out of the way, and I started. There was a lot of like garbage piled in this basement. It was kind of a hoarder house, and it was all burning. So I'm just pushing it out of the way to find the steps, and I got lucky because they were right around the corner, and I got myself out. But that was the shortest, quickest mayday. That incident command never even knew there was a mayday. So
oh, really?
My radio wouldn't work.
In and out. Yeah. You know, I have a
Oh,
similar.
by the way, I went through the floor.
I have a similar near-death experience. The reason why it was a near-death experience is different. But one time I was working on my old house, the one that was 3 doors down from you, Brian. I was in the attic, and it was one of those attics where if you weren't on a beam, you were on the ceiling of the drywall that was in the floor.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about? It's like if you put one foot in the wrong spot, you're going to the floor. Yeah. And I'm up there, and by the way, it's like not my house, it's Patty's dad's house, and like anything that really got broke, like in a real way, he had to fix versus what I had to fix, which was like, I'm gonna take this drywall off, and he was like, I'm going to do the drywall, you know, like you know, like I did all the like, I did the little work. I got little lady hands. And no offense, ladies, you guys are very strong. But my foot hit the wrong beam, and it slipped and went through, and then I tried to catch myself, and the other foot fell through. Patty is drywall shooting out of our room, like and then she just like, what happened? She runs in, sees my feet just a dangling, and she falls down and just like, it's the only thing she said, my dad's gonna kill you.
Dad, you're gonna laugh. Not today,
and I'm like,
you're gonna laugh.
And I just look at her.
Could you help me first?
Yeah. Well, my life flashed in front of my eyes because I'm like, he is gonna kill me, and then I had to call him and be like, hi, could you fix our ceiling? What happened? I fell through it.
Yeah.
And by the way, in like resetting myself, like, I think I hoisted myself up. I then stepped through the closet, so I hit another like pocket because I was so disoriented. I then put another hole through the ceiling, so it was just like 2 spots, and I'm just like, no. So that's my very similar, same
that's
scenario.
Like. Yeah.
I was just reminded of that. I was like, yeah, I remember when that happened, but I was like, for very different reasons. Just like, oh gosh, this very intimidating tall man who already is just like, my daughter married an artist. You know, he's an engineer, and I remember when I asked my wife to marry me, I was like, I asked my wife's parents. I was like, "Oh, can I marry your daughter?" The first thing he said, was it yes? Was it no? He goes, "What does a graphic designer do?" Just like, oh gosh, like that, that kind of guy. You're like,
you just tuck your tail between your legs and leave. You're like, sorry, Patty, it's just not going to work out.
Which I'm slowly building on the idea that like I kind of get it, like as a now like father of a daughter, like this. When I walked into his house, I had like baggy khakis that had a dragon on it, and she's like a track star. She's like a excelled at math person, and I'm just like, do you like Limp Bizkit? Just wearing like these pants and like had like a tracker with all zebra interior because for some reason I was like a stripper from Miami all the time, but it's just like it's like when you get older you start to understand why Ariel's dad was so mad at her. You're like, that person lives in an entirely different part of town. He lives upstairs. But yeah, I don't know. So
that's
stupid.
crazy.
I'm pretty sure one time you told me a ghost story. Did I mishear that?
Well, we had Ruby who used to.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So my daughter, she's 11 now, but when she was a toddler, there's a certain house that's about 2 blocks from here, and it's kind of next to a corner, but there's like you can approach it from 3 different angles, and it didn't matter where we were coming from. And it's a very old Victorian home. It's absolutely beautiful. It's a stunning old brick home, well over 100 years old. And every time we would go by that house, she would physically try to lean out of her booster seat in the car, her car seat, and go faster, go faster. This is a bad place. This is a bad place. Leaning away from the house every time we went by. And then we would be there. And this is my theory. We would hear her up at night on the baby monitor when she was very young, giggling and laughing and playing for like an hour and a half or 2 hours from like 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. every night. And I'd sit there and listen to her, and she's just giggling and having the time of her life. And then I was about to go check on her. This is after it just started happening. I was about to go check on her and try and lay her back down when she goes, "Do it again."
Oh.
I looked at my wife. I said, "You go check on her." Goes, "Do it again."
He just laid down. I didn't hear nothing.
Yeah. He's like, "Do it again," and then she starts laughing. Then do it again, and then she starts laughing, and then we did have a funeral here in 1926 for a 5-year-old in our home for a funeral for like a 5 or 6 year old boy. I don't know who it was or how he was related to the family at the time, but it was the family that built the house. My wife looked all this stuff up in the history of the house. And so that was my theory. It was this little boy that they had the funeral for, but that's what I'm going with because I don't want to hear you think of anything else. Because she does say, she used to say when she was smaller, shadow people and stuff like that, she would see, in certain places. And, oh yeah, I've seen them. I see them all the time, Okay.
Yeah.
You let me know if they're standing around here,
Yeah. I actually I ran into somebody the other day. It was on St. Patrick's Day. You were there, Brian, when this story was being told. But so it was somebody who used to take care of the lady that used to live here, Linda. Is that what it was? So it was somebody who used to come over, and they said that at one point there was a grandfather clock in our house.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, behind it was really wet for no reason whatsoever. And they were like, "That's strange." And then they moved it at one point, and it was wet again in that same exact spot. And so it was like dripping down the wall. And he's like, "I don't know what that was." But I was just like, "Listen, I've been there for all hours of the night, like 3 a.m, no noises." He was like, "Well, listen, once that grandfather clock left, he's like, there was no problem. Like that, it wasn't like a sweaty spot after that." So I don't know what that. But another thing about my house,
they originally thought, the roof was leaking or something. So they pulled the clock out, and I think they did something with the wall or repainted it or whatever and put the clock on, a different wall. And then it did the same thing like on the other wall. It was like the clock was sweating on the wall or something.
Yeah.
And last I checked, they don't put out a lot of moisturized heat.
Right.
It's kind of a self-contained
Sauna
clicking.
clock. Yeah.
But what was it? I remember when we were painting my daughter's room. Before it was my daughter's room, it was just a regular room at this point, like a bunch of years ago. And we were kind of just, the room was empty. We're sitting looking around, and all of a sudden my wife kind of looks off and she hit an angle on the lacquered wood that's in all the rooms on everything. And she goes, there's a cross on one of these door frames. And then she goes to another, she goes, there's a cross on this door frame. And then she starts going to every single room in our house and realizes there's a cross on each one of the door frames.
Like drawn on it?
It's like in oil, kind of,
okay. Like somebody would bless it or something.
Yeah. And I remember she was freaking out. She was just like, "What happened in this room?" Because it was in the back closet too. So like in the closet that was there was like a coat rack that's wood, and it was there was 3 of them on the closet inside the closet. And then she starts freaking out. And I just start Googling, putting in the words, and it filled them in. It was like, why are there crosses on anything? And she's like, it's a thing. Oh my gosh. She's like, just starts full freaking out. But,
I would have so been like making fake blood stains on the floor.
Yeah. The night after.
Look what just appeared.
Yeah, these weren't here last night, were they? Or start writing stuff.
I wiped that cross off, and this appeared.
Yeah. Or start writing other things like in the border.
Yeah.
Just like, you've seen my crosses, now see my wrath. A meaner husband would have done that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, babe, it's okay. She would have tried to leave our house somehow. She'd be like, we need to get out of this lease somehow. And I'm like, we can't. Sorry, babe. Yeah. We're kind of locked in. But yeah, I what was it? Where was it? Wasn't there something with the house that is around the corner? Didn't you guys live in the pool? That pole barn house that's around the corner from us. Isn't there something with that house? Am I making that up?
The pole barn.
Yeah, it's like around the. Right around the.
We lived in the garage, up above the garage.
Yeah, wasn't there something weird with that place? Yeah. Am I wrong? Did I make that up?
The house, yes, but I don't remember the story about the house. But we lived in. They had a two-bedroom apartment, huge apartment above the garage, and that was our first apartment together.
I think I'm just mixing up the fact that apartment is a banger with the fact that maybe it's haunted. Because every time I think about it, I'm like, man, I wish I could afford that house because it's so cool. Plus, it has like an apartment building. I would just make a huge studio out of that. It's like my ideal working space is to have like an entire apartment that I could just dedicate to like my art studio. And me and my wife, I'm sure people are like, oh, I came in for my spooky podcast to hear about Dave's architectural dreams, but like to have like a space that's like separate from your house, that's just like your kind of cave of creation. I'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna make big paintings from now on. It's just right now I'm just like well, you have that 3-car garage, man. You got a lot of potential there, but you're also stuck with all your
out first. I gotta clean it out first.
You're probably in the same situation I am. It's like I'd love to put stuff in here, but it's already filled with stuff that I probably don't need, but it's filled to the brim.
Yeah.
My wife's been trying to buy a camper kick lately, and she keeps like sending me like things, and I'm just like, where would we put this thing? Like, we already have a boat we don't use that just sits in our driveway that we winterize every year, like with the tarp and stuff. And I'm like, what are we even doing? Let's just sell this thing. We never go on it. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked since we got it. Whatever. I don't know. She's like, no, I'm gonna fix it.
My wife was on a kick for that too, looking at properties in Pennsylvania, and my theory was, well, I could either pay for the upkeep or I could just rent one twice a year.
Yeah.
Right.
Cheaper to rent one.
Yeah, that's probably a good I mean, that would be terrible. Wait till like have like an entire extra house that's like somewhere else.
Yeah, 3 hours away.
That's a wild commitment.
Call it a camp.
Yeah.
There's one in particular there that if it ever came up, I would jump on it. It's just a little log cabin, and it would maybe sleep 6 or 10 people if you crowded them, But it's an old log cabin next door to my brother-in-law's property. But I'd jump on that. But other than that, you'd be hard pressed to get me to.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to, but it's just the logistics,
Yeah. Yeah, driving like 3 hours, and then also having it in the back of your head, like, oh, we didn't even use that this year or something like that. I'd be like, oh, I just wasted all that money.
maybe as a retirement thing, but and then all the grandkids could come up,
That would be cool. Yeah, then they could like cycle in and out.
And I could spend time there too,
Yeah. Yeah, in the meantime, when you go there to do work and stuff, it's like I got to drive 3 hours to go hang some drywall or something,
Right,
and then drive 3 hours back,
Fix the gutters, yeah.
Yeah, love this. Love this, babe. Every time you're there, you're just like, oh God, you're just like bitching to yourself.
12-hour work days. I came on vacation for 12-hour work days.
Although there would be a sense of like, of excitement. Of like fixing something that's like kind of alone. I really like that's what I like the most about this house was like everything I did. I was like I kind of did it alone because like the moment we found out that we got the house and we're able to start construction and everything, my wife immediately found out she was pregnant and she was like, yeah, I probably can't be in a house that probably has lead everywhere in it, so I probably shouldn't be here. I'm like, oh, okay. So just worked on it.
And Rick, with your schedule, you could probably, it wouldn't be that big of a deal to drive a couple hours away, then stay for a few days,
Yeah, no, that's not too difficult when you have a 24 hours on, 48 hours off schedule. If you take a personal day or a holiday, you can get that time off and take like 3 days in a row and not have any worries,
This is a little advice for anybody who's listening who is younger. Get a job as an EMT or a firefighter or something, because every time you tell me your schedule, I'm just like, that sounds awesome. And I'm just like thinking when I was younger, I could have done all this stuff. I just kind of got like spooked out of it. Just kind of like, I probably shouldn't do that because, whatever. Just like the physical just demand would have been. Start lifting some weights, lift some weights, get yourself in there.
You do cardio, we'll get you through the weights. Yeah.
I can't even imagine the work schedule of just like doing one and then just like having 2 days. Like my brother-in-law tells me about his work schedule all the time. You always tell me about his work schedule. I'm like, I could do 24 hours so easy as a work thing. I mean, you're obviously like not working the entire 24, hopefully. But
just, days we do.
Yeah, I know, but it just sounds so awesome, and I'm just like, but yeah, that's my advice to everybody. Is every time I hear about nurses and firefighters doing that, I'm just like, sounds so cool.
I tell them, get your paramedic, get your fire card, start taking tests, because it's the only job in the world where you go into somebody's house and you wreck stuff, and they go, "Thank you."
Also, you guys are the good.
My son Rick was the one who put him over the edge.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, now your son has a straight firefighter mustache.
Yes, he does. I saw him a couple weeks ago. It was awesome.
Yeah, he's finishing up his paramedic in the next 2 weeks, I think, and then he'll be working on his fire card, and he loves it.
It's a good career.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to give it to him because they're going to take one look at that stash and be like, well, obviously you're captain now.
Yeah, they're like, what position are you applying for, chief?
Because for the listeners,
I was 40 before I could grow a mustache. And him at 20 has the mustache of a grown man.
Yeah, I was in my 30s before I could grow a mustache. That's the only downside.
Yeah, whatever you're picturing in your mind, listeners, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah. I got hired at 27, and for 3 or 4 years, they would ask me, I'd go on a squad call, and they'd say, "Are you a cadet?"
No,
I'm working here 3 years, lady.
You're going to a spirit Halloween in the middle of your shifts, just trying to get a big mustache to glue on.
Yeah,
the spirit gum is falling off. You're like, oh god. It catches a blaze.
Speaking of
maybe if I want to wear an eye patch, I'll look older.
Speaking of Halloween-y kind of stuff, Caroline and I last weekend watched the movie The Substance. Have you guys seen that movie with
No.
It's like one of the Oscar-nominated movies.
Really?
Oh my Lord, that movie! I didn't know really anything about it except that it was nominated for a bunch of awards. I knew it was some sort of commentary about actresses in Hollywood as they get older, and the drive, they'll look youthful and to stay young, and the competition that they deal with younger girls as they come in. So I was like, oh, okay, this seems like it'll be a nice, interesting drama. Tell this story. It was so different than that. I mean, that's the commentary of the whole thing. But at one point, like halfway through the movie, it goes so far off the rails. It was one of the goriest, most disgusting movies I have ever seen in my life. We were sitting here just like with our jaws on the ground. It it's going one way, and you're like, and it was good going that way, and then all of a sudden it was like, and like went insane. And I mean, there was times where not only was it like gross to look at certain situations, but the way they did, and I think it won the Academy Award for like special effects and stuff, but the visually, and then they had like sonically, like the sounds you hear that would match up with that stuff was so, just listening to it was disgusting,
visceral,
and I can't recommend it. I can't recommend it enough. I mean, it is like one of the most original, out there, off the wall, crazy movies I've ever seen in my life. It was good.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah.
Well, it was like that.
If you have a weak stomach, don't watch it.
I can't think of his name now. The guy from Lord of the Rings that played Saruman. And he was
Lee, Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee, yeah. Well, he was a military guy before he became an actor in World War II, and the director was saying, well, make it sound like, when you're getting stabbed, what it sounds like, and he goes, that's not at all what a person sounds like when they're being stabbed. He was like special operations. He was like, Secret Service, sneak behind the lines and stick guys in the neck from behind. He did all that kind of stuff, and he's like, this is actually what it sounds like. It's very quiet, and you hear a little, and that's it. And then, like, oh,
well, I remember
the whole entire cast and crew were just silent when he was done. That's what it sounds like,
He also just has such a he's the perfect presence of that guy, of just that kind of weird but kind of cool, mysterious. I would imagine his house is on a hill that has a lightning bolt behind it, and it's just like a little castle. But he was alive in the time when he saw a public execution once. I think somebody getting beheaded, I believe. I'm from the top of my head.
It was one of the last beheadings in France, I think.
Yeah, he was there for that. He's been obviously an avid Lord of the Rings, just whatever. He actually has a story about his scene got cut when he died. He got killed off in Lord of the Rings. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen that movie 20 years ago.
20 years.
But his death was tucked into the extended cut, and it's not in the regular cut. But he's the main villain, and the guy was just he confronted Peter Jackson at the premiere. Is you screwed me, whatever. But he has a metal album.
Metal.
I'm just
metal
dude,
rock,
you freaking rule.
90 years old.
Just and I think it's the no. It's man, because it really rules. Just freaking demon all the way through. I love it.
That metalcore.
Yeah.
Better rule. I mean, listen. If I was a metal guitarist and Christopher Lee came up to me and be like, "You want to make a metal album?" I'd be like, yeah, today. I'll do it for free. Let's go."
Dropping everything.
Yeah, I am.
My daughter's getting married today, but never mind.
Yeah. My daughter's getting married. My wife's pregnant. I don't care. I'm out. Pull the drums out. Start going. He's like, I'll be on drums. Oh man. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, be a firefighter, everybody. It's a good time. Actually, I'm gonna now talk about the other week. Rick invited me out to go for a walk with his kids and stuff for a hike, and I went hiking with his kids, and then afterwards we he was like, "You want to come over for a beer?" I was like, "I would love nothing more," because again, he lives across the street from me, and it's like the best. And we had a beer. We had like 2 beers. We bullcrap for a little bit, and then we both were talking about how good naps are, and then we both decided we're both going to take a nap independently of each other. We didn't spoon that afternoon at least. Yeah. But our daughters were playing at his house, and I was like, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna take a nap, which we were 2 beers in, which 2 beer post nap or post 2 beers nap was the most glorious thing in the world.
Yeah.
So we're talking and we're just sitting there like, we're gonna have the best nap. And originally we were talking about, he's like, you want another beer? And I was like, I don't know. Are you gonna have another beer? Like, well, listen, our nap's gonna be really good. And I was like, give me another beer. So we had another beer, and then you went into your side porch, which is you're at right now, and you took a 30-minute nap. And I went into my house. I went across the street to my house, took a 30-minute nap, and I was like, I woke up and I was like, that was the most glorious thing that that 2 men have ever decided to do since like a war treaty got figured out one day.
Yeah.
Good times. So yeah, take some naps with your friends, not with your friends, but discuss your naps and then collaborate.
Plan them. Yeah. Coordinate them.
Yeah. So Rick, so you're maybe you're on the fence, not on the fence, but you're trying to logistically figure out if you're going to come to Bigfoot with us. When did your obsession? Yeah, you probably won't make it. It's fine, but you will be there in spirit. What's that?
I think we're going to be having a foster tomorrow for a day.
So, oh yeah. Yeah, Rick actually got honored at the Cavs game a couple weeks ago because he is the best. What is it for your service in the firefighting? What was the other thing you got honored for?
Navy firefighting for 30 plus years, and then being a foster parent for the last 13 years. So Jenny and I have been doing it for
yeah, he got an applause like he was Barack Obama. Like they were just like,
he
won
that game-winning 3-pointer at the buzzer,
Yeah, that's what you said.
I mean, they talked about
wow.
He was in the Navy, he was a firefighter, blah blah blah, and him and his wife Jenny been foster parents, and we've had so many kids in our house over the last 13 years, and the place went crazy. You could feel the sound.
That rules.
It was really quite an honor.
That's awesome.
Really pretty cool.
So, Rick, when did your interest get piqued when it comes to like weird like Bigfoot stuff? Do you have a threshold moment or?
I would say early grade school. Of course, we grew up in the Boy Scouts, and there's a camp out here in just west of us called Camp Firelands, and the camp master, the guy in charge of the whole camp, was a very good friend of my dad's. So we spent a lot of time out there, aside from Boy Scout stuff, and his kids were same age as my older brother and a little older. And of course they like to terrorize us. So they would tell us all kinds of stories and, be aware of the giant hole and all this other stuff. But amongst that time is when we discovered the first time I saw the Magruder film and then started reading all the books on Bigfoot and Loch Ness and everything else. And so about the time I could read, that's about the time I started getting involved in that, because that's the only thing I wanted to read about.
Yeah. That was pretty much me. I grabbed I remember going to the library. They would give you like library time in school, and I would just go there and I would just pull out all the Bigfoot and like weird cryptid books. Would just read through
for
them.
The pictures and looking,
and be like, oh, I heard about this, which is funny because I never really thought about that. Like, as I just assumed every kid was doing that exact thing. Turns out they were doing other stuff, doing the triangle paper game, and I was just like, oh, have you seen this Bigfoot book?
Oh my God, ghosts! All the books on ghosts and with the graphic evidence and stories and everything. I was fascinated by that.
Yes, those were always. I think those were more my go-to. It was like that and like anything on the Titanic. I was obsessed with the Titanic as a kid. I think every kid was like obsessed with like the Titanic and like World War II at some point. You're just kind of like, it's like a rite of passage.
Yeah.
My son is huge into that, and he corrects me every time I mess up. He plays like, what is it, like battle simulators, and he's just like,
Mm-hmm.
this one's not as accurate because actually this gun barrel didn't get created until like 1943, and I'm just like, okay, I don't know. It's like, why'd they even do that? They said it was supposed to be historically accurate. I'm like, because it's still got to be a game at the end of the day, dude.
Yeah,
Like, it's got to be entertaining.
That hand grenade wasn't used until 1957. Yeah.
Okay.
The pin's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the wrong pin.
Exactly.
There's one thing that's interesting though about kids today that, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, they didn't have a lot of exposure to those type of accurate video games. And so, I was part of a veterans group that we would go out and put up displays with different equipment and weapons and everything else at public events. And they would come by and they'd look at it and they'd ask all kinds of questions about them, Oh, this is a 45 Thompson, blah, 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 blah. This is what it would do. And nowadays they're all like, this is this and that is that, and this is this and that and that. And they made 423,000 of these and they only made 7,000 of these, they know everything about them, which is really cool.
Yeah. I guess that kind of, I remember
the access to the internet.
Yeah, that translates to a lot of, like, just having your hands on things that, like, we would have to, like, go to the library, like, same thing. We'd have to go to the library, find a book, do the thing, and you can just literally find that thing, like, so much quicker now.
Yep.
And so you can kind of, like, for the people who do hyperfixate, you could hyperfixate like on hyper speed. You can just be like, I found all these things. There's 38 links that I haven't saved in my little notes thing, and then I'm gonna keep going back to them. So you're just in a treasure trove. But I remember somebody was talking about kids today and how they're the girls I work with, they're like, the girls are so good at doing makeup now. Like the little kids, they're just like, they know exactly how to do eyeliner, and they're like, because they're just watching YouTube videos, and it's just like we're able to like perfect things because there's ways to like find a DIY that's just like really, really quick, and which obviously like leads to a couple other things, like if they don't get their information fast, it's just not worth their time.
Right.
Like,
right.
Yeah, I was actually just talking about how we were right before we got on. I was talking to my son about Napoleon Dynamite because one of the Minecraft people that he watches wears like a Vote for Pedro shirt. And he was like, "Oh, he wears that because of that movie Napoleon Dynamite." I was like, "Have you seen that?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we watched it," and you bounced out quick. And he was like, "Yeah, it was not for me." I was like, "Well, it's dry comedy," and he's like, "Well, maybe it's one of those things where," because he didn't understand the idea of dry comedy. He's like, "Yeah, when you're younger, it's like really dry, but like when you come back a couple years later, it's like really wet. It's wet comedy." I'm like, "No, that's not what dry comedy is." It's like, but okay. I was like, it's something that like isn't funny right away, but like kind of like built. It's funny because it's so absurdist, and like I was trying to. It's hard to explain like why dry comedy is dry comedy to like a 13-year-old. They're just like, just hit the guy in the head. Give me the Looney Tunes cartoon.
It's like some people with Monty Python. You show some people Monty Python the Holy Grail, and they're like, I don't get it. Meanwhile, the rest of us are all laughing our tails off and repeating all the lines.
Yeah, I remember
you're either watching that and crying, or you're not laughing at all. Like some people just don't get that at all.
I don't get it. Yeah, well,
my crowning achievement as a father was when I showed him Monty Python the Holy Grail. First off, way too young to be watching that movie. Like a lot of it wasn't landing. But like when you think about those old movies, you think about them in highlight reels. You go like, oh yeah, he's gonna love that, and it just wasn't landing for him because first off, he could barely read at that point, and the first part of the movie is just the joke is the credits and how the person who's been sacked has been sacked, and the person in charge of getting sacked has been sacked and then got sacked and whatever. So it just keeps doing that joke. It's so funny, but if you can't read that fast, like it's just like they're just like whatever.
Lost.
But he ended up sitting there for the whole movie with me, and a couple days go by, and he's playing swords and sticks with whatever, and he goes, and think with me, I think we're playing, and then I like hit him on the leg, and he goes like, oh, he's like, it's just a flesh wound, and I was just like, oh, you did the thing. And he starts he like picks his leg up and starts coming at me, and then he like pretended to lose an arm, and I was like, I was like, especially because he didn't seem to react to the movie at all. Like it was just kind of like a movie that had kind of like forced on him and whatever.
Something sunk in.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh, obviously that he completely bounced off that. That was like that one thing that I was like, oh, it's like something got through. He's like, I'd rather be watching Cars right now, Dad. You're killing me. Like, life is a highway. Let's go back to Cars. I'm like, oh, girl, let's go back to Cars. I don't know. It's weird, but I don't know. The kids are all right. It's just. Did everybody have? I heard somebody say this today on like a TikTok, and I was like, wait, I used to do that too. And it's like that this is like an embarrassing thought, so but walk through it with me. But that like when you're in high school, that like performing in front of everybody, and then you like woo everybody to like really like you in school. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like, I'm gonna perform Van Halen in front of the whole school, and they're gonna be like, holy crap, that guy can play the guitar. And then like your crush likes you, the cool guy in school is like, you're cool, like
fantasy.
Yeah, like one of those like fantasy moments of just like, I killed it in front of the whole, like you went to the talent show and you just like murdered it in front of everybody. Everybody's just like, hell yeah, and they hoist you out like Rudy at the end. And then somebody just like, there was like a TikTok about that. I was like, I did that almost daily. Every time I heard a song, I pretended like I was singing that in school. Did that fantasy almost like in like perpetuity. It was like this, like, I wish I was cool. I don't know. That's what happens to me. Yeah, I know. Just listen, when you're a nerd, you do your best to like be the cool kid, and then it just doesn't work out for you. And then you find out when you're older, that it isn't about being cool. It's about knowing that it doesn't matter if you're cool or not. Right. And then you immediately become cool because of that. Because once you don't care.
When you stop caring, that's when you become cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, and all the people that were cool in high school usually are addicted to meth now. So it's fine. Or they're like on their third divorce.
I go out of my way on purpose to be the uncool, embarrassing dad, so that because that's my job.
Yeah, I mean,
as a parent,
it's so funny.
Most important job is to be able to embarrass your kids on a regular basis.
No, it's the best. It's my favorite thing to do.
You spend your whole childhood trying to be cool, and then as a dad, you're like, you go out of your way to look uncool. And it's the best.
You're just like, you hate these shorts? Oh, well, they're the only shorts I'm wearing from now on. Oh my gosh! Listen, I've said this before, but this is the dad's podcast. I mean, dad's chatting about Bigfoot. Oh man, I'm getting all sweaty from laughing. This is the Strip Down podcast. This is the part where I get hot. Is it warm out? It was cold earlier, and then it got hot, and then I don't know what's going on.
Those huge storms came through and cooled it off.
It's muggy as hell right now. I'm on the side porch. Yeah,
maybe that's what's going on. Well, I got my useless farm shirt. If you guys don't know them, follow them on TikTok. They're amazing. It's a lady who lives on a farm with all these animals that hate her. Get this chicken that tries to attack her like every day. This one really dumb alpaca. It's amazing. But so like I was saying, tomorrow or when you guys listen to this, we're gonna be on our way to Bigfoot tomorrow, and hopefully the rain doesn't ruin our good times of the stories that we like.
Hold off.
Hopefully, I mean. We're all the way down south. I mean, who knows what the weather's actually going to be like there. We have our little we have a little secret cubby that we set up that everybody's like hanging out in. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of monopolize on that again, because we had a really good time just like sitting there. It's raining, just chatting. We met that's where we met a couple people last year, who came up. They're like, it's raining. Hey, can we join you? We're like, yeah. It was like those 5 girls, and then it was Snuffy's wife.
Yeah, Cheryl and Dana.
Yeah, Dana
and
2 other people.
And Matt Pruitt's wife Emily, and
it was like a bunch of
couple other random people that popped in. Yeah,
just like a bunch of.
It was a lot of the speakers or their family, and because everybody wanted to be outside because it was warm out, but it was just raining. Yeah. It was the only place with any kind of cover. We kind of tucked in there and just.
It's like one of those hotels that has like
stories.
It had like a hotel bridge walkway, and but underneath that was like a slab of concrete, and then there was landscaping that went up to it. So it's not necessarily like it's not part of the patio. It's just like what architecturally is happening there. And we were like, we can just go up there, like just walk through the landscape because it's just rocks, and there's no path to get up there or anything. Like, you're not supposed to sit up there. But it's like there's no reason why we can't be up there. So we all just kind of like piled in there with our chairs. And then people just started being like, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" And then we just basically had like a round robin of people hanging out. We're like, "Hey, come on up, join us in our stupid little thing." So I don't know, because I love. There's nothing better than like sitting out by the rain, just like letting that happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that specifically because our side porches are pretty much the same exact space. Which is like the top 5 really best place to sleep in the world is just like the side porch. But,
that's the plan tonight.
Oh really?
Yeah, oh yeah. It's gonna be nice tonight.
I might do
it's
that.
My
too.
favorite room in the house.
Yeah, I don't work tomorrow because we're going to Bigfoot. So the one girl I work with is like, "What are you doing? Like, why aren't you gonna be here on Friday?" And I was like, "I'm going to the Bigfoot thing." Duh. She's like, "Oh yeah, like."
They have one. I don't know when it is, but they have one in Pennsylvania where we go every year too. That's Clarion in Clarion, Pennsylvania.
Clarion.
There's a Bigfoot festival there every year. I want to say it's in the fall, but I might be wrong. I have to look it up.
There is one that has wrestling that I kind of want to go to, like a lot. Yeah, actually, I almost said this.
Wrestling,
to you, Brian. Yeah. There's people dressed like Bigfoot, and they basically just like wrestle each other in like an actual like wrestling rink. And I was like, dude, that sounds like, and it's like I think in Kentucky, but I was just like, that's first off the most Kentucky thing that could happen. But I was like,
you gotta own that one.
Because I think the backdrop was
I would totally go to that.
Oh yeah, like, but I think it's exact same weekend as the one that we go to. But I'd be willing to, branch out. We don't have to go to the same one. Doesn't have to be that. That'd be fun to kind of jump around and
we got to find a couple other ones, to hit up.
Yeah, I mean, we got to go to the Mothman one. We're going to our ghost tour in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you about this. We're going to the Mansfield. What is it called?
The reformatory, the prison.
The prison, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have some experiences out there, and we'll be able to talk about them, or just be like, that was the scariest thing I've ever experienced in my life, or that we'll just talk about the dinner that we had the whole time.
Yeah, we're doing an overnight private tour. Well, not tour, but like we have the whole place to ourselves. Pretty much for the majority of the night. I think it goes to like 3 or 4 in the morning or something, and basically just be our group of people in there, and that's it.
I know. I need to get
we'll have the run of the place.
I need to get some like stuff, some like Ghostbusters level stuff. I should just dress like a Ghostbuster.
Some gear.
Yeah, I should bring my makeshift ecto pack. And then
June 6th to 8th. It's in Marionville. I just looked it up. That Bigfoot Fest in Marionville, Pennsylvania. It's about 3 hours. June 6th to 8th.
3 hours isn't bad. That's a day trip.
Not bad.
I mean, we at least go check it out. Let's go check it out.
Leave it first thing in the morning, go fly fishing all day, and then come home at night.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I get it. Sounds like a plan. Yeah, I need to get out more, do stuff like that. What was I gonna say?
So, I got another one for you. Were talking about close calls and experiences. Talking about how everything's gonna hit the fan, and I'm gonna come out of it sparkling. I was in the back of back corner of a 3-car garage with no way to get out of there after crawling through this fire to put it out. I got behind the workbench and everything, put the fire out. I had to hand the hose out because there were so many. I don't know how I got through it in the first place. There were so many wires and junk hanging down in the way. So I handed the hose out, and one of the guys says, "Rick, I need you to get out of there because I'm going to start pulling ceiling." He had it all drywalled. It was his shop. It was a really nice shop. And I'm standing in the back corner of the garage, and in the front opposite corner is the man door. And there's just one door there, and then the garage door was directly in front of us, but I couldn't get to that because of everything in front of me. So I look over there, and I said, well, I can just go out that door. And I took one step and heard the loudest crack I've ever heard in my life. The main beam holding up the second floor of the garage with all of the daughter's personal household belongings. She was in the process of moving and had all of her furniture and everything stored up there. So we call that a heavy load. That all came down instantly. And to this day, I swear to God, somebody picked me up and threw me. Because I wound up sitting with my knees tucked up in a fetal position against the door. And the ceiling came down in a void space about, that close to me. If my leg had extended, it would have been crushed. And my hand was on the doorknob. And I don't know how I got there. And they're all screaming my name because the whole building just imploded. And the guy that was standing outside got hit on the head and had to go to the hospital for neck injury. And I turned the doorknob and I fell out. And they go, "They're Ricky," and I opened the door and I fell out. And I go, "I'm over here," and they all spun around. "How'd you get over there?" I said, "Somebody pushed me." You know,
it's like no one's in there.
Don't exist, but I'll tell you, no, you're wrong. They do.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're like, I wasn't there, and now I'm over here.
In the time it took for that ceiling to hit the floor, I moved over 30 feet, probably 30, close to 40 feet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Through a shop, you know.
Oh yeah, like
yeah.
I love stories like that. That's wild, man. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, listen, you came out sparkling just the same, I guess. Is your friend okay after that?
Yeah. He's retired now. This was a long time ago. He just retired last year, but yeah, he got a neck injury and he was off for a couple of weeks while recovering from that, you know, compression injury. So.
Oh yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I remember being right next to, what was it? Our friend Chris, who had a tree fall on him.
Yeah,
well, you know, another experience that Rick just showed up at. Not just showed up at.
I got the phone call. Hey, can you?
Yeah, we called you.
We think Chris broke his arm.
Which, by the way, if you ever go to the hospital, bring a firefighter with you because they will just get you right in. Like just grab one off the street.
Not saying but they know me there, and they're just like, "Yeah, we'll get him right back." They have it in North Carolina too. And a friend of mine got hurt in North Carolina and went to the hospital down there, and I was wearing a firefighter t-shirt, and she goes, "Are you a firefighter?" I go, "Yeah, why?" Jokingly, "Do you get firefighter preference?" And she's like, "Well, the hospital doesn't, but I do." So she got my buddy. There's like a huge room full of people waiting. We weren't in there for 2 minutes. She called his name. Thank you. You know, I that's kind of perk that I'll live with. You know.
Yeah, I will say that trick also works with little kids, because if what is it at my wedding, my sister's little boy, he was a what was it called, a ring bearer. So he was the little dude wearing the cutest little wearing the what was it, the little bow tie, and he had like the Michelin level like little rolls on him and stuff, just the cutest little, and he was running around at the wedding, and he tripped and hit his head on one of the things, split it open, just gushing blood. So she went out of our wedding, went to the hospital. They were like, "Get on back here, little man. You look so handsome." It was just like, she's like, the nurses might as well have like paraded him in. They're like, "Look at his little boy." They're like, "Well, how'd you know?" Like they're all asking him like, "How did it happen?" He's like, "I was chasing girls." They were like, So she was like, "I've never been in and out of the hospital faster in my entire life." She's like, and she was back at the wedding in like an hour. I mean, like in the emergency room. Oh yeah, like especially when it comes to the emergency room, that's like unheard of. You're like, "My leg is falling off." They're like, "Yeah, you gotta wait. Sorry, dude. There's sorry." You're like, "No, like if I go back now, it'll be fine. But if I wait, it'll fall off." They're like, "You gotta wait, buddy. Sorry." That's just the way it goes. And then you just like sit in the room for like ever, and they just they're all doing stuff. I get it.
Like, but and to their credit, because I've seen it from both ends, they work their butts off trying to get people back. There's just no room. People influx those hospitals with, they use it as their doctor's office. Everybody flushes in there to get a little sniffle taken care of, and meanwhile, Mr. Jones is over there going,
Yeah. I mean, my mom is one of those people who just be like, "Oh, I'm having an issue," and I'm like, "I don't think you need to go to the hospital for this." And she's like, "No, I need to go," and I'm like, "I don't know. Okay. Like, I'm not an adult. I'm not, I'm not you. I am an adult, but I'm not you." It's like, I guess you have to go to the hospital, but then they'll be like, "You're fine." That's what happens when you have mental diseases. That just happens. Eventually, you figure it out later.
They can't take you back there. There's nowhere for you to be.
Yeah. It's a wild time out there. I don't know. But yeah, so Rick, I really appreciate you coming on with our weird little podcast, and keep fighting the good fight. Yeah. Everyone loves a firefighter. Maybe I'll come on and join you on your side porch. Not for the sleeping part, but like
I got a 12-pack over here.
Yeah, we can eat ice cream cones, stare in each other's eyes. So yeah, so next week, if you join us, we'll be post Bigfoot Festival. We'll be live talking. Yeah, we're gonna try to gather up as many people as possible for being on the pod and with their little stories and stuff. So we're gonna be harassing people this week, so it's gonna be a good time. We should make little cards and say, "Come on our podcast." But yeah, so we'll come back and join us every Friday. We're live. Monster Soup Podcast at Facebook. If you want to join the Facebook group, we are Monster Soup Podcast at Gmail. If you want to send us a little thing, you can get on the show. We can tell your story. Do whatever you want. And so thanks again, Rick. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And absolutely.
Thanks,
and
Rick.
the kitchen is closed this week. Bye, girl. All right, take it easy, guys. Bye.
All right, we'll see.
Thank you.